Hi guys, I'm Pierrette and this is my kitchen. So welcome to Pierrette's Kitchen. I hope if you're enjoying our content that you'll take a moment to hit the subscribe button and maybe share it with your friends. We're trying to build a community and we would love all the support that we can get. Today on the menu, we're gonna do two different kinds of lasagna. Both of them we're gonna maximize protein, make them still really tasty. One of them we're gonna do primarily with vegetables instead of pasta, and the other one will be a little bit more traditional pasta dish, but instead of ricotta cheese, we're gonna use cottage cheese, which has not quite twice the protein in a 1 cup serving, but pretty close. So we're just gonna put it in the food processor and mix it up to get the lumps out of it because some people find that unappealing. But by the time you bake it, you won't even taste the difference. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we wanna do, we have some tomatoes here. We did 2 cans of Trader Joe's diced no salt tomatoes and 1 can of tomato sauce. And we mixed those together. And we're gonna add a little bit of garlic. Take the side of your knife over the edge and make sure that your palm is flat so you don't cut yourself, and just give it a good smash. Then we're gonna take these pieces of garlic and we're gonna add them to our sauce. We've peeled about 6 or 7 cloves of garlic and dumped them into our bowl of sauce. I think you can see that. And right now, this sauce is just tomatoes and garlic. We are gonna add a little bit more seasoning to it, but for right now, we're gonna work with just this. Okay, guys, so we're gonna start with the pasta base one first, which is the more traditional one. I'm just gonna spray this glass pan with a little bit of nonstick spray. I tend to use the glass pans when I'm cooking for you because I like you to be able to see when it's simmering and bubbling in the oven. If you don't have a glass pan at home, that's perfectly fine. You can use any kind of pan you have. And the other one we're gonna use today is a non-stick square metal pan from Williams-Sonoma. And I tell you, they're the best. The cleanup is a breeze and they really take that non-stick term seriously because they're very, very easy to clean up. So I just added about a 1/4 cup and then an 1/8 of a cup to the bottom. You always want to add a little bit of tomato in the bottom, especially if you're working in a glass pan so that it doesn't break. And we are going to use more traditional pasta sheets. These are oven ready. You don't have to cook them first. They go right into the pan like this, and the moisture from your lasagna will cook them during the process. Now, if you're looking for a more protein-enriched version of this, regular pasta has about 1 gram of carbs for every 200 calories. And ideally, if you're trying to have a lot more protein in your diet, you'd like to ideally be around 10% in protein of your total calorie expenditure. So for instance, this is just a regular pasta that Trader Joe's sells with red lentils, but these have, I believe it is 15 grams of protein for 210 calories, which is a lot closer to the 10% protein to calorie ratio that if you're looking to be on a high protein diet that you're trying to do. So you could always substitute these. These do need to be cooked first. So you would boil these in your water with a little bit of salt and drain them and then do a thin layer just like you would a pasta sheet, but it'll give you that pasta experience without as many carbs. Okay, so we did 1 layer of this. We're gonna add a little bit more sauce because you always need sauce. So we're gonna do about another 1/2 cup of sauce on top of this pasta. And then we're going to add some turkey and some chicken sausage. So this is 99% lean ground turkey, and this is very, very lean. It doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own, so it's always good to make sure that you're adding flavor and a little bit of fat, because when you don't have fat, you know, fat gives a lot of flavor. That's what makes us want to eat all that stuff that's not good for us, because it is so rich in flavor. So we're gonna do that. And then we did several scoops of the ground turkey. And now we're just gonna add, this is a chicken sausage, also from Trader Joe's. And I was really surprised at how flavorful this is for the low amount of calories that it has. It was quite an impressive product. So I'm just gonna kind of mix that in. Again, we're trying to build flavors without putting in a ton of calories. We're gonna go ahead and add some of this cottage cheese into our food processor. That's a 1 cup measurement. I'm also gonna add 1 egg to this, so that while it's baking, the egg white is going to help solidify the cheese and not make it quite as runny. And we are just gonna run this food processor really fast and mix up our cottage cheese to give it more of a pureed texture. So this is the texture after we have blended it thoroughly, and it really does make a difference in what you end up with. Just gonna take a little bit of this by the spoonful and mix it through. And this is gonna take the place of our ricotta. Okay, we should have enough for 1 more layer after this for sure. Okay, now we need some mozzarella. So this is a Trader Joe's mozzarella cheese log, and this comes already sliced. So this way the slices come pre-cut and very, very easy to assemble, because now we're just gonna kind of squish it in and lay it down. And by squishing it, it gives us a little bit more room through the rest of the lasagna for more layers. So I'm just pressing that a little bit. And I'm gonna do about 9 slices on this one, and I'll probably do about 5 on the next round. You can add more or less if you really, really love your cheese, which most of us do. Do another couple of pieces, and you don't need a lot of the pasta, really. So we did this way on the first round. We're gonna rotate it the other way for the stability of the pasta. So when you go to slice it, it holds together a little bit more. Okay, so now we need our sauce again. We're gonna do this time I added a little bit more. I think it was 3/4. And you gotta kind of play it by ear. You wanna make sure that you have enough sauce to cover everything, but not so much sauce that it's soup when you're done. It still is gonna wanna go together and be pretty firm. And we're just gonna add a little bit of Italian seasoning, and we've already got the garlic in our sauce mix, so that's very helpful. And this little scooper is a great way to kind of portion out the meat so that you can make your pieces even as you're doing it. And this, I'm putting it in here completely raw. It's going to cook while it's in the oven, and you won't have to do anything more to it than this, which is wonderful. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna add another sausage. So right now we're at about 1/2 pound of ground turkey, very, very lean ground turkey. And this is our second chicken sausage. Okay, so now we're gonna add a little bit more ricotta cheese. Well, not ricotta, our faux ricotta, which is cottage cheese with 1 egg white. And that works out pretty well. And then we're gonna do some more mozzarella. And like I said, I think we're gonna do just a little bit left because we're running out of depth in our baking dish. So I'm just gonna mash that down. We'll put that one kind of in the middle. There we go. And we're gonna do a little bit more sauce. We could do, if you wanted to, you could do one more layer of pasta and one more layer with cheese and sauce, but I think we're kind of running out of room. So we're just gonna add a little bit more sauce to keep everything moist. And we've got 2 layers of pasta in here currently. Just gonna add a little bit more tomato. Make sure that everything is covered. Your cheese will still melt, your cheese will still get some beautiful color, even if it's covered. And that keeps the meat moist, especially because there's no fat in that ground turkey. So this is what we've got for our first lasagna before we're ready to pop it in the oven. I don't know if you can see that. I'm gonna set this to the side and we're gonna start in the veggie version. So hold on one sec for me. So now we're back and we're ready to start our second one. This pan really does clean easily and it doesn't really stick, but I would spray it just to be sure. We're gonna start again with a little bit of sauce on the bottom. And this time we're not gonna do the pasta, so we're gonna spread a little layer of spinach on the bottom because this one is gonna be just veggies. Now, one thing that you should know when you're doing a veggie lasagna is that your raw vegetables will weep liquid. So for instance, your raw zucchini is going to make it a little bit more watery, which makes it even more important that you don't put too much tomato sauce and that you have an egg white in here to help stabilize all of it so it doesn't become lasagna soup, because nobody wants that. That doesn't sound appealing. Okay, so we've got a layer of spinach in the bottom. We're gonna add some of these zucchini noodles. Now, if you haven't used this before, this is a pretty cool invention. It makes zucchini noodles for you. Just twist your zucchini on the top and then they come out the side, and it's getting down to the bottom, so it's a little bit harder, but when you have a whole zucchini, it works beautifully. And this is a great little tool and a great way to add vegetables. You can use it for have your zucchini with spaghetti or any other thing that you would normally have spaghetti with if you're trying to cut carbs. So we are gonna put just a little bit of carrots in there because you know I like food with a lot of color in it. And they make it taste a little bit sweet. And then we are also gonna add some broccoli, and I wanna show you a really fast way to chop that. If you are not familiar with these little magical chopper machines, they're pretty incredible. This one is from Pampered Chef, but they, you can find them in lots of different stores now. This one, with every quarter turn, chops, it rotates a quarter turn with each chop. So you don't have to move it around. It does the chopping for you. And there's our broccoli. So we'll throw a layer of that in there. That makes it really simple. Okay, so those are our veggies. Now we're gonna do our meat on top of that, just like we did on the other one. Same process, layer meat. And like I said, you don't need to pre-cook it. Actually, you don't want to pre-cook it, because if you do, you're gonna take even more moisture out of it. And you need that moisture because there's, again, not a lot of fat. So it's not going to taste spectacular if you rob all the moisture out of it before you even get it in the oven. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so we are putting in our chicken sausage. Now you could, if you wanted to, still do a layer of pasta in between this, but for this particular one, I wanted you to see that you really can go very differently. Lasagna in this translation is more about the concept of the layers than the actual traditional recipes. So now we're going to go through and add our cheese. I'm using the same cheese that I used in the traditional lasagna. We're gonna do our ricotta first. Just a little drizzle across it, which again, this is not ricotta. You don't have to like cottage cheese to try this, because by the time you're done, you honestly will not taste the cottage cheese at all. You're gonna taste the mozzarella cheese, you're gonna taste the Italian sausage, and all the other really yummy things that you put in here. So please don't get hung up on the fact that it's cottage cheese, because honestly, I don't like cottage cheese either. I don't know a lot of people who do. It's kind of gross. But it works well in this recipe. So again, I'm adding a pretty generous layer of mozzarella. Oh, actually, let's do some Italian seasoning. I want to make sure that we season it well. Get all your corners. Make sure that it's well covered, well distributed with some seasoning, because you definitely want it to have great flavor. Okay, a little bit more sauce. And then we're going to do the whole thing one more time. And for this, we don't necessarily need as much sauce in between, because we're already going to have liquid from our raw vegetables. So it's not as important that we have as much tomato sauce between the layers. We're going to kind of count on our spinach to create what would have been our pasta layer. So we're going to do our zucchini. Okay. And a little bit of carrot. Makes that easy. You don't need a lot, just a little bit for color. And then I'm going to chop up a few more pieces of broccoli and throw those in there as well. Easy peasy. Just going to sprinkle some broccoli over the top. And we're going to put some more cheese on there. Getting close to done. It's gone pretty fast. I'm just going to do one more layer with the mozzarella and a little bit more Italian seasoning. And then we'll put the sauce on top and throw it in the oven to bake. Now, you can cook this covered with aluminum foil, and it will cook a lot faster that way, because it's going to steam and keep the heat in. And I tend to do that when I bake food in the oven. It seems to keep the moisture in. Okay, we have cleaned up a little bit, and now these are ready to go in the oven. So this is the veggie one that we did, and I realized after the break that I forgot to put a second layer of meat. So I went ahead and added a second layer of meat, and then I just flipped the cheese over on top of it and added a little bit more sauce and seasoning. So that one is also ready to go. 2 layers of meat, 2 layers of veggies, and it's going to be gorgeous. I always try to tuck these in as neatly as possible to keep the air in, or the steam inside. And we are just going to put these in the oven, and I'm going to put these in for about 45 minutes, and then we'll check and see. These are going to go in on the bottom shelf, and we're going to be looking for evidence of simmering through the glass. That's how we're going to know when they're getting close to ready. So I'm going to pop those in there, and we're going to leave them for about 45 minutes, and then we'll check back, and hopefully dinner will be ready. Okay, our timer went off. Our lasagna has been in the oven for 45 minutes, and it looks and smells amazing. The smoke that you see is where it spilled over a little bit onto the bottom, onto the foil I had on the bottom. But it smells fabulous. So we're just gonna bring them over here. Okay, we're gonna take the foil off, and we are gonna pop these back in the oven for just a few more minutes to get the cheese really golden. But you can see they look amazing. Now the lasagna has come out of the oven, and it's had time to cool, so we're gonna cut it up. This one was the one that we did with only vegetables. So we're just gonna slice through this. You can see this one is a lot juicier because all those vegetables put in extra liquid, which we did talk about before we baked it. If you wanted to add a sheet of lasagna or two in here to help absorb that, I'm sure it would help. But that's what you end up with your vegetables and your cheese and your lasagna. We're just gonna put this one over here. And then this one was the more traditional lasagna with the layers of pasta and all that yummy cheese. And so we're gonna slice this one up, and I'll show you what that looks like. And you have all that great cheese, all the great sausage, and ground turkey in there. So either way, whether you do it with the pasta or with the vegetables or a combination of both, you can do your layers with the pasta and then vegetables in between as well. So you can kind of play with this recipe and decide how it works best for you and your nutrition goals and your family. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you like and comment, and I hope you subscribe. Have a great night and a great dinner. Take care.